This program contains adult content.
Is there a God?
Big atheist.
Really?
What, am I an idiot? Come on.
That yes, it would be nice if you could throw your sins and your responsibilities on someone else. But it's not true.
It looks like far-left lunacy.
I don't believe that it's true that religion is moral or ethical.
You don't need to follow anybody!
It's not human intelligence!
If someone doesn't value logical consistency, what logical argument are you going to give them that will demonstrate that they should?
Welcome to the Godless Revolution. Today is Friday, September 7th. This is episode 218. I am Dan Ellis.
147.
I'm 146. That was so many episodes ago.
That was.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
How you guys been?
I've been.
You've been?
Yeah.
You been working?
Yeah.
Been working today.
We're working today.
See, I told you at work. At work.
Tearing out your yard?
Yeah, that at home. I decided to start doing that today. And yeah, that's going to be all weekend tearing up the yard.
Doing some xeriscaping?
Yeah. I hate how they fucking spell it.
Why? Well, you pronounce it xeriscaping, and that's not what it is.
That's how I pronounce it, but that's how I've always heard people say it, xeriscaping.
What is it? How's it spelled?
It's because we live in Utah. Nobody can fucking pronounce anything correctly.
But yeah, the way it's like X-E-I-R.
Yeah, it's xeriscape. X-E-R-I. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, look, I'm putting zero lawn in. I'm xeriscaping.
No, it's zero.
Anyway, it ends in an A?
Xeriscaping?
I'd have to look it up again.
X-E-R-A? Is that what you said?
No, X-E-R-I-S-C-A-P-I-N-G.
Oh, Zera.
But everyone else I've ever heard pronounce say xeriscaping.
That's because,
not just here in Utah.
Well, people are stupid, man. I don't know what to tell you.
I've never heard of it.
How many people do you know who say nuclear?
One.
One? Really? That's all?
I don't hear people use that word that often.
Oh. Yeah. People mispronounce things all the time.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
So that's going to be a project.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to give Sarah some cash tomorrow and say, hey, go pick up some pretty looking shrubs.
What side of the house is it on?
We want a shrubbery.
It's on
a shrubbery.
The front of the house, which is north facing.
Ooh, you need some shade plants.
Yeah. Well, not really. Most of it's sunlight most of the day.
It does get sun?
Oh, a ton of sun.
Oh, really? North facing, huh?
Yeah. Kind of. Well, yeah. Maybe not true north, but as far as the roads go, it faces north.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, the front yard gets a lot of sun.
More than the backyard that would be south facing?
It's actually pretty. My house isn't very tall, so there's no trees, so everything's completely exposed. And even today, when I was out there this morning, I was in the sun the whole fucking time. No shade.
I would have melted or just turned into a lobster.
Oh, I turned into you, where I had drenched sweat through the front of my and back of my shirt, and I wasn't even
fucking ginger blood.
We have had a little bit of a break in the weather, though.
That's why I decided
it's not roasting hot out there. It's been like in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
But today it was like 95 again when I was out there doing that shit.
Was it?
Yeah.
That's caca.
I was in my office.
But I decided to start doing it right now in the fall, so that way I'll redo some seed out front where I'm keeping grass, and it should hopefully take this time.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to tease you anymore.
Well, it's been too hot all summer to.
Yeah, that's fine. Good.
To spread my seed all over the yard.
Yeah. The neighbors complain all the time. And you, sir?
Got some Duffy shrubberies.
Yeah, it keeps it boarding.
I have a project on my own. We've been doing a kitchen reno, and it's going along. I think this weekend we'll pretty much wrap it up, except for the countertops.
Well, you had already done like all tile and shit for the floor, right?
I retiled it, and then we were waiting for it to cool down a little bit, it wasn't the dead heat of the summer, and so now we've repainted all the cabinets and all the cabinet doors and everything, and then I redid the kitchen window because it had like a 1/2 inch little ledge, and and it was double paned. So there was like 5 inches. It would go back to the external window. Mm-hmm. So I just ripped that whole frame out, the front frame, and then just rebuilt the windowsill and then framed it up with old barnwood and then barnwooded all the way around the soffit up top. So now when we put the cupboard doors back on, which are all plain color, we'll have like, interesting soffit up top, then the plain color.
Little contrast.
Yeah. And then I'm going to do kind of a British country red brick backsplash behind or under the cupboards.
I still need to do all that yet in my house.
Yeah. So
I don't have to do any of that. I need to paint a couple rooms in the house, but other than that, when we moved in here, dude, it was move-in ready. Like we didn't have to do anything. I've really been digging it.
I do have one correction from last week too.
Oh yeah? What's that?
Was it me?
In the opening, I was talking about how good it was to see you guys again, and then I called you 2 dumbasses.
Oh.
And I have no idea why.
Well, I mean, sometimes it's nice to see a dumbass.
Well, but you aren't dumbasses, and I don't think of you as dumbasses. And I bet if you go back and listen, you'll even see that I'm like stumbling to kind of find the words, and that's what I settled on. And I don't know why I default to I love you too. Why don't I default to pleasant things? What's wrong with me?
You're a guy. It's part of our toxic masculinity,
I guess. So this week, I'm happy to be here with 2 perfectly nice and intelligent gentlemen.
Thank you for calling me intelligent.
And Ryan. Oh, no, damn it. I did it again.
Well, thank you. Very nice to have you both back in studio this week as well.
Yeah. I'm just fortunate that you guys are secure, thick-skinned guys, because most people don't put up with me, and I don't have a lot of friends, so.
I've got very thick skin.
I think yours is a little thinner being ginger, though.
Well, it just
burns through really quick.
It just looks thinner because it looks red, so you might think like you're seeing through.
I just thought you were like opaque.
Well, I am
semi-translucent.
Yeah, basically.
Okay,
that's all the hair on, dude. I am really lucky that my hair is basically translucent.
Or you'd look like Robin Williams.
Oh yeah, I would look like a gorilla.
You kind of have polar bear hair.
Yeah, I'm super hairy, but it's very, very light in color, so you don't really notice it very much.
I've been burning my arm hairs off the last couple summers during the wildland season, but we ain't had one this year.
Yeah? Have you had to fight any wildland fires?
I've had 2 fires, little ones.
Oh, yeah?
Like 4 or 5 acres, that's it.
Huh. Nothing too serious?
No, like.
Boring.
It is boring.
I can't even think of what I've done recently. Oh, I went to Grant's birthday party. It was Grant and Brittany and Matt and a bunch of our other friends who have birthdays in September. We all had a big shindig for them on Saturday. That was fun. And other than that, it's just been work and editing the show and all that kind of shit, keeping me busy. Work is just busy. I had to do all of my background shit over the last couple of days. And I had to have it done by today. Today was the drop dead date for it. And so at the end of the day, after I had completed it, it was like, okay, now what else? What do I have to do regular work wise? And I realized that I had this follow-up set from my boss that he wanted this report by close of business today. And I had to send him an email just saying, sorry, Alfred, I wasn't able to get to this today because I was doing my background investigation stuff. So sorry about that. I can do it Tuesday. After our first call bright in the fucking morning. And he just replied back and he's like, oh, I needed it today by close of business to report on it Monday, but Tuesday is good. And I'm like, what? Okay. So you still want me to do it when
that's one of those situations where when it comes up in the meeting, I'll get that information to you a little later. We're still working on it right now.
Yeah. And it's kind of bullshit stuff that he wanted me to report on. I mean, it's semi-important, but it's more of a cover your own ass kind of thing for like everybody throughout the service. We've got to do these health checks on all of our internal systems because there was that problem during filing season where like one of the servers went down for like 4 hours or something, and everybody in the world was like, oh, the IRS is terrible and they don't know what they're doing. And so now we've got to go through all of this rigmarole of testing everything. Gold. All testing.
Were you golding the rigmarole?
Yeah.
Nice.
But yes, we got to do all this internal testing and making sure that our systems are up to snuff when really then we're just the ones who are creating these arbitrary things and saying, yeah, it looks good. It's just busy. it's frustrating.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say it's a wet dream there for a second.
No, not at all.
Okay.
But no, it's terrible. That's about it for me. We'll be interviewing Mikey Weinstein of the MRFF. That's the Military Religious Freedom Foundation. For those of you who don't know, they currently represent over 57,500 active duty U.S. Marines, sailors, soldiers, airmen, cadets, midshipmen, National Guard reservists, and veterans, including matters involving high school JROTC around the nation, about 96% of whom still identify as practicing Christians. The MRFF clients have faced unconstitutional religious church state violations and noxious abuse from their military superiors, who almost exclusively brandish one particular version of Christianity, fundamentalist Christianity, as a weapon to intimidate, menace, harass, subdue, and terrify their otherwise helpless armed forces subordinates. Their client base consists of Christian, Jewish, Buddhist, Hindu, Sikh, Native American spiritualist, humanist, pagan, atheist, slightly over 18% of all Muslim Americans in the U.S. military, other minority faiths and non-faith military members, and just under 1,000 LGBT military members. So doing a whole lot of great work for a whole lot of cool peoples, it sounds like. So that should be fun. I'm excited to talk to him.
Yes.
I've wanted to interview him for a while, and so that should be a lot of fun. Should we do it?
Yeah. Let's talk to him.
Okay.
This is Matt Dillahunty, and you're listening to The Godless Revolution.
My fear is that someone will initiate a nuclear exchange, believing completely and totally that they are the tool of Jesus Christ in doing it. Rob Parsley said, "Remember, we are promised by our Lord and Savior a 200-mile-long river, 4.5 feet deep, filled with nothing but the human blood of those that Jesus is slaughtered at the Battle of Armageddon," with a big smile, that fundamental smile on his face. He will raise his hands up and say, "Therefore, my Christian brothers and sisters, rejoice, for the worst is yet to come." We've had 10 of our clients killed in action. We've had clients that have been put in extraordinarily dangerous combat situations as punishment for not accepting Christ. We've had clients that have been beaten, repeatedly beaten. We've had clients that have been ostracized. We've had clients that have been singled out. Most of these clients that this have happened to, these horrible things have happened to, just numerically, are Protestants. The next biggest hunk are Roman Catholics, just because of the overwhelming numbers. If you're a Hindu, Buddhist, a Muslim, or Jew in the military, you already know what it feels like to be a little bit of a minority. If you're a Lutheran, you're not prepared for this because you never faced this before.
You and the Godless Revolution will be reassimilated in 3, 2, 1.
Okay, on the line, we are joined by Mr. Mikey Weinstein. How are you doing tonight?
Doing great, guys. Thanks for the opportunity.
No, this is great. I've wanted to interview you for quite a while, so this is fantastic that we were finally able to get this set up. I think I've been talking about trying to get you on the show for the past 3 or 4 weeks.
I'm glad we could do it.
Me too. So tell us a little bit about MRFF.
Well, we are a militant and aggressive civil rights organization, and we fight another very, very bureaucratic and stoic organization called the Department of Defense. We represent our job is to buttress and protect the separation of the wall separating church and state in the technologically most lethal organization ever created by humankind, which is our U.S. military. And we are closing in on 58,000 plus clients. About 96% of our clients are actually practicing Protestants of a literal rainbow of different denominations, and Roman Catholics. And about the other 4 or 5% are Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, Native American, Sikh. We have, and of course, atheist, agnostic, secularist, humanist. We have 1,012 LGBTQ clients. 12 of those are transgender. And we represent a little bit more than 18% of all Muslim Americans that we know of in the U.S. military. These are clients of ours. And we are fighting pretty much just one enemy, and it's weaponized Christianity. We have over 420 people that work in this foundation. Like many civil rights organizations, many are volunteers, and about 84% of those folks are also practicing Christians. So this is not what you hear when you listen about from the religious right or the religious wrong, as we call them. Focus on the family, the American Center for Law and Justice, the American Family Association, the Family Research Council. Anything with the word families or values in it is going to bad. They say that we eat Christians for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That isn't true. We don't give a one damn crap about what anybody's belief is in any, it can be Spider-Man or nobody for all. That's all we care about is the time, the place, and the manner in which a member of the U.S. military feels they have the right to deploy their faith or lack thereof. Mm-hmm. And about 99.99% of the time, we are fighting fundamentalists, or what are known as dominionist Christians, those who believe that they have the right to follow the Great Commission that Jesus talks about allegedly. One of the last things he tells his disciples in Mark 16:15 and Matthew 28:19, the Great Commission. Go out and make disciples of all nations. And those who believe that the Great Commission trumps the Great Constitution, we fight. And if they believe that they can't be restricted, these are members of the military, can't be restricted by our Constitution. It's construing federal and state case law. And all the DIR guys, the directives, instructions, and regulations of the Pentagon, or as we call it, the Pentecostal gon, if they don't think they can be restricted by that in trying to convert people, well, then they're the enemy. And we fight them tooth and nail as hard as we can, because in the U.S. military, if you're being told or being even gently evangelized by your military superior, get the fuck out of my face, sir or ma'am, is not an option for you. So they come to us and we do it.
That's fantastic. And it's one of the things that I think is a common misconception about the MRFF. And that's one of the things that actually I wasn't entirely aware of until fairly recently, that it's not an atheist organization. It's an organization just fighting for the civil liberties and religious freedom of everybody, regardless of religious belief. Absolutely. In fact, our lawyers send out, very serious letters to those that refer to us as an atheist organization. And there's nothing wrong with atheists. I'm very well, I call myself a Jewish agnostic. I'm not sure where you draw the lines. I'm very proud of my ethnicity. I still pray 3 times a day in Hebrew. I'm not sure there's anybody up there. I often think that we know as much about the true nature of religion and the universe as our dogs know how my MasterCard or my Visa works. But the bottom line is that it's easy to try to tar and feather us as an organization that is, irreligious, and that's not true. We are a civil rights organization that protects the separation of church and state. And in our country, when you tell someone that they lack integrity, character, and intelligence, courage, bravery, honor, and honorability, because they don't believe in a certain weaponized version of Christianity, there's no difference between that, as I always say, and telling someone they're stupid because of the color of their skin or because they were born without a penis.
Well, let me play God's advocate here for a second. It seems to me that the common pushback or you would get from people who are maybe not totally invested in either cause, I think, just sort of lay people might say, well, what's the big deal? I mean, most of them probably are Christians and even if they're not, then, so what? I mean, what's the harm? I mean, just let them believe what they want while they're in the military.
You see, the problem is that your military superior is not your shift manager at freaking KFC or Starbucks. It is a very, very different environment. In the military, for instance, having sexual intercourse with someone other than your spouse is a felony. If you're ordered to go to the base dentist at 1600 hours and you don't go, it can be a felony. You don't have the right to show contempt to the president, vice president, any members of any state legislature, etc. Because in the military, our Supreme Court has ruled in 1974 in Parker versus Levy, the compelling governmental interest for the utilization of the First Amendment is not what it is for us. I mean, we're civilians. I'm a civilian now, was in the military for 14 years. That's to make sure you get your full measure of First Amendment constitutional rights. In the military, that's not the compelling governmental interest. And this was a 6-2 decision. Somebody didn't vote. William Rehnquist wrote it, one of the most conservative chief justices in American history. And it said, no, in the military, once you put the uniform on, you don't get the same First Amendment rights to have your freedom of expression, speech, and for that matter, religious free rights of expression, because the compelling governmental interest there is to maximize the bones, the skeleton, the muscle, the organs, the flesh of the military, which is good order, morale, discipline, unit cohesion, health and safety of the troops, military readiness, and mission accomplishment. And if you allow someone who's, again, that you cannot fight back against, we use the term spiritual rape because that's what it is when you are in fact told that you are less of a person because you don't accept this particular militarized or weaponized version of Christianity. And it is absolutely rampant in the U.S. military. The most technologically lethal organization that Homo sapiens has ever created. Our military. And it should be, we are a secular democratic republic. We are not a Christian nation any more than we are an atheist nation, an agnostic nation, a satanic nation, a Jewish nation, or Muslim nation. And right now, as I said before, this version of Christianity known as Dominion Christianity is inextricably intertwined into the very air conditioning, the DNA of our U.S. military. And to answer, it's a good question you ask, is that when someone makes it clear that if you want to advance in this, the military is, I don't know if you've ever been in, but it's incredibly tribal, adversarial, communal, and ritualistic. It is not like working at Walmart. It's a different situation. And the whole job there is to make sure we have a lethal enough military to protect the full panoply of constitutional rights guys for the rest of us. And how do you do that? Again, you have to maximize unit cohesion, good order, morale, and discipline. What is antithetical to that? Telling somebody they're going to burn eternally in the fires of hell, or parents did, or in my case, had many relatives that were slaughtered at Mauthausen, Treblinka, Dachau, Auschwitz, the other camps and subcamps. I've been told over and over again that all my relatives are burning it. So, fuck that.
Yeah.
I can't find anything that is worse for destroying good order, morale, and discipline. And I remember years ago, one of the nicest things ever happened. We received a note from Window Rock, Arizona, and that is the capital of the Navajo Nation. A young 19-year-old naval sailor was being just mercilessly proselytized by his chief petty officer on one of our nation's 10, 11, or 12 giant aircraft carriers. And we were asked to move in. We did. We engaged, and we got that chief petty officer severely disciplined and moved to another part of the ship that had 3,000, 4,000, or 5,000 sailors. About 2 weeks later, we got a message from the sailor through his family. And again, they're a Navajo family. And it just said, please thank Mr. Weinstein, MRFF, for being the voice that we are not allowed to speak with. And that pretty much gave me goosebumps, and I'll always remember that, because you can't stand up. It's different, like I said, in the civilian world, and trying to create a narrative that we're doing whatever we can to serve as an accelerant or lubricant to bring warrior Jesus back, because it's great. At the end of the world will get here soon. We just can't wait. And some of these fundamentalist Christian sects are promised a 200-mile long river. It's a long river, 4.5 deep, filled with nothing but the human blood of those that their beloved Jesus has slaughtered at the Battle of Armageddon. And again, I don't begrudge them, their faith. That's fine. The point is there is a time, place, and manner, and you cannot scream Jesus in a crowded theater.
I think that's all wonderful. I noticed that when you were talking about different people that you represent, you used the word client versus members. Are you talking about that all of those people are legal clients of yours, or is that how you work your membership, or what's the distinction there?
We don't have a membership organization. We're not. When we have protocols we go through to make sure someone can be a client. We've actually conducted a number of polygraphs with our prospective clients. We've had a couple turn it down, in which case we don't take the client. We've never had somebody fail a polygraph, because even we can't believe, after everything we've been fighting this since February of 2004. And, to become a client, the charge is zero. And, we protect we provide all of our clients AARP, and not the one you're thinking about, but anonymity, action, results, and protection. And, since Trump became the presumptive nominee in the summer of 2016, the late summer, we've seen a near doubling of our client load, and the enabling of hate. And remember, prejudice is prejudging. It's fine if you don't like gays or atheists or Jews or Muslims or people over 6 feet tall. That's fine. That's in your mind. There's no thought police here. But if you manifest your prejudgment into behavior, that becomes bigotry. And that is what is sanctioned. And so, for instance, we've told everyone in the military, particularly fundamentalist Christian chaplains, if you can't stand the fact that LGBTQ members of the military are now allowed to be there, don't ask, don't tell is gone, you have 3 options. You can hold your tongue, change your attitude, or fold your uniform, put in your paperwork, and get the hell out of our military. It's as simple as that. And they hate being told that. And when you tell somebody that being gay is, they made a bad choice because, it's like going to Baskin Robbins. Oh, you should not have chosen the strawberry, or you shouldn't have chosen the Dutch chocolate. Bad choice. Love the ice cream, but hate the ice cream center. I'm tired of all that stuff. And, we created our foundation to be a weapon to go after these, MFers who try to push this weaponized version of Christianity. It's the Christian version of ISIS, Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, Boko Haram, whatever you want. And we've been doing it for a long time. And we do it very, very, very well. It comes with a price. I mean, you get a lot of threats. You have to live with attack trained dogs and weapons and cameras and bodyguards. And that is the nature of what it's like today. And it's been that way from the beginning, but never worse so under this administration. And it's shameful to have to say that our U.S. military is like I said, is like an alloy with this stuff. But it is. I think statistically, Hitler had something like 7.9% of the German populace. That's all in his National Socialist movement. Stalin had far less, something like 2.8, 2.9%, in his communist movement in Russia. But we have determined that it's not exact at all, but somewhere in the high 20% to low 30% of the U.S. military is infused with dominionist fundamentalist Christianity. That is a shitload. And that's why we are as busy as we are. And
that's fucking terrifying. That's terrifying. I can't imagine how some of these soldiers must feel while they're in the service and having to go through all this, because they're a captive audience and like you said, they can't speak out. What are the rules and regulations against or for or regarding proselytization within the military?
Well, and you said soldiers, and of course I don't want to offend the airmen, the Marines, and the sailors out there. We also represent cadets and midshipmen at my alma mater, the Air Force Academy, my father's, the Naval Academy at Annapolis, West Point, Merchant Marine Coast Guard Academy, ROTC cadets and midshipmen, as well as junior ROTC in the high schools. We had a ton of stuff that happens there. The rules can be very complex, but basically it's simple. There, if you look at the essence of the First Amendment, the separation of church and state, which although the words aren't there, we have eons of case law that make that very clear. The one military branch that we've been fortunate to get an absolute regulation, which is backed up by the Military Criminal Code, which is known as the Uniform Code of Military Justice. This is Air Force Instruction 1-1, Section 2.12. And it basically states that leaders at all levels in the Air Force must ensure their words and actions cannot reasonably be construed as supporting one faith over another or no faith. Violating that can be prosecuted, for instance, as dereliction of duty under Article 92 of the U.S. Constitution, of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. But it seems as though the Air Force, we pushed very hard for that. I testified on Capitol Hill before the House Armed Services Committee on a whole bunch of things, including that regulation. And when Trump took power, several of the far right-wing parachurch organizations were trying to specifically get that regulation thrown away. We use it all the time, but it seems to be followed and complied with more in its breach than in its conformance. In the other services, I mean, we have some wonderful leaders in the Marine Corps, Navy, Army, and Air Force that clearly see this. I mean, remember, unit cohesion is kind of important when you go to war.
Yeah.
Why would you want to do anything that would denigrate a fellow sailor, soldier, Marine, or airman? Why? Well, only if there's something more important, which is making sure that you get them into the kingdom. We have an awful lot of this battle under our belt, and we have created a tremendous body of work in doing this, and it should be terrifying people. I tell people all the time when I speak publicly, I won't be satisfied until I make you dissatisfied, so that you can get off your asses and see that something actually needs to be done. And I mean, if your audience, we don't have time to go through it tonight, but if you Google Jesus nukes and look at all the nuclear missile launch officers that came to us with their indoctrination about what Jesus wants them to do with our nuclear missiles or Jesus rifles, I mean, it goes on and on and on. Just when we believe we've seen it all. We find a wing commander who has an online ministry called Plus, like the opposite of subtraction, prayer at lunchtime for the United States. And he takes a picture of his general's star and puts it on the site. We filed a 22-page indictment, if you will, demand for investigation with the Department of Defense Inspector General. Let's see what happens. I want to see if maybe they rapidly promote him from 1 star to 2 star, 3 star, and 4 star, and then make him president. But we're not going to stop. This country is in a bad place right now, but it won't always be in a bad place. Maybe there will be a blue wave coming. Maybe people will stand up and say, okay, enough is enough. But right now, our national security, it's the old statement about who will guard the guards, and that seems to be, what our role is, focusing with laser-like precision where all the nuclear weapons, conventional weapons, drones, and laser-guided weapons are. The ACLU doesn't really, these are all fine, lots of organizations out there that are great, but they don't necessarily have the same kind of preternatural understanding of the military. I'm an Air Force Academy graduate. 4 of my kids are. My brother-in-law went there. My dad went to the Naval Academy. I've got 2 nephews in the Marines. We've seen all this up close and personal, and we don't have to have the special nature of the military explained to us. But it's a very, very serious thing when you have a commander or anybody who outranks you making it clear that if you're going to advance in our national defense structure, you better get right with Jesus. And here's our version. And remember, most of our clients are Christians, or at least they thought they were.
Yeah, they're apparently just not the right kind of Christian, according to these dominionists.
They're not Christian enough. And if it takes a second to go to Wikipedia, wherever you want to go to look at Dominion Christianity. Frederick Clarkson has written some great stuff about it. Most people there are even dominionists that don't even know what it is. All they know is that there is no, again, they cannot be regulated in spreading the good news that you're going to burn eternally in the fires of hell unless you get down on your knee and confess with your tongue that Jesus is your personal Lord and Savior. And that would be great. As I say all the time to my audiences, what does the first commandment say, right? You can't have any other gods but me. But what does the First Amendment say? Oh, yes, you can in this country.
That's
awesome.
That was fantastic, Mikey. Thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight. I know you've got to rush off to other things. You're a super busy guy. If people want to support the MRFF or if they want to contact you, where can we direct them?
My phone number is very public. It's 505-250-7727. If they feel like they want to support us, that's great. It's 100% tax deduction. We're a 501c3 under the nonprofit charity. They can just go to our website, which is www.militaryreligiousfreedom.org. And we don't run on chocolate sauce. We actually fight like hell to make sure we can stay completely sustainable in the face of this pretty brutal opposition that has never been more empowered, probably in our nation's history, than by the scum suckers and the bottom feeders we have right now in power in Washington.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Mikey. It was a pleasure. You're welcome back anytime you'd like.
It was a whirlwind of awesome information and passion. That was cool. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Very much appreciated.
All right. We'll talk to you again sometime soon.
Thank you. And best of luck to everybody.
Hi, this is Yvette Dontremont, aka the Cybabe, and you're listening to Godless Revolution. You can find me at cybabe.com, at my Twitter account at the Cybabe, and if you've hunt really hard, you can find me at Pornhub. I dare you.
What we're really seeing is Christian privilege, previously unchallenged, being challenged.
Why is it Christian privilege? Isn't it a national holiday? Wait, Mr. Weinstein. Isn't it a national holiday? It's a national holiday, not a Christian holiday.
Bill, I know it is.
It's a national holiday.
I know it's a national holiday. Can I respond now? Please, I'm your guest. Let me just try to respond. My point is that Christian privilege is now gone, previously unchallenged, and now welcome to the land of equality. You must all share your toys.
Thanks for listening. Now back to the show.
What a super awesome guy that was.
Yeah, I decided to just let him talk the whole time. I'm like, I'm not going to jump in with any stories because he's short on time.
Oh, yeah.
And he had so many cool and interesting things to say as he was going along. It was just like, fact after fact, and the passion he has with it too is just like, just let him go.
Yeah.
And I feel like a freaking idiot for even making like those noises, those conversational noises. Because honestly, I sit here and I feel like
we're not contributing.
They're just no. I feel like they're just they must feel like they're just talking to themselves. So every once, it's just my natural. I don't know. It's just to at least let them know that we're still here and just keep going. You know. But then in this case, it mutes them, which I didn't know about. So now I feel like an idiot. So
no, that's one of those.
Oh, that's cool.
No, it's one of those stupid fucking. That's why when I called him and he said, "Oh yeah, I noticed on your thing it just says fucking Skype."
Yeah.
Because I fucking hate Skype. I mean, it's great for a lot of things, but it's not a perfect interview tool when when you don't have a lot of visual cues and things like that. And because if you make those little noises on one end of the recording, it mutes the other person or, attenuates their volume a whole lot. And so, yeah, whenever we were going, yeah, oh, wow, or giving a little chuckle or anything, it would kind of mute him. So, yeah, that's one of the shitty limitations of Skype.
Fucking Skype.
That's why it's on my tagline for my Skype person is fucking Skype. But yeah, what a fantastic guy. I have learned a shitload about the MRFF over the last couple of weeks in trying to arrange the interview with Mikey. And they do a lot of really cool, really important work.
I know. And this is one of the things that I really love about doing this show is that I knew way too little about Mikey Weinstein before we had him as a guest. How have I not heard about this? And this, as much as, I mean, I recognized his name from somewhere, but this should be out in front everywhere. Like, this is such a cool organization that's doing the right thing.
Yeah, well, and they're doing it for everybody, regardless of your religious belief or faith or lack thereof. They're going to represent you if you're being discriminated against in our military.
Yeah, I know I was never like discriminated against when I was in the military, but I felt the pressure of religion. I don't know if I think I probably told the story way in the past sometime. Like I can, like the first week at basic training where the guys are all like, "Hey, we're going to go meet in the day room and do like a prayer circle." And I'm like, "Oh, what?"
We're going to be stroking Jesus's ego.
But the thing is like once you start seeing like everyone get up and start walking to it's like, oh shit.
Shit, if I don't go, then
I'm going to be the one ostracized and be the odd guy out. I'm like, well, I better fucking go so I at least fit in. It's like when he's saying like unit cohesion and stuff, like sometimes it's you have to fit in, you have to not be the odd man out. So even if you don't agree with what's going on, you just kind of fucking go with it.
Yeah, and that's a really shitty thing. That's one of the problems that I see with religion all over the place is that it's used as a divisive force and a wedge between people all the time.
Yep. That's what it does. Yep.
It's not a uniting thing unless you happen to just share that particular religious belief with everybody in your.
I was gonna say it's not only in the U.S. though either, because I now I'm just gonna start telling the same stories I probably told before, but now they're all gonna be in one spot. Because we always worked with the Iraqis and everything in Iraq. We did training with them. We had Iraqi firefighters we trained, and we had one guy that I can remember one day we were filling up their fire trucks with water, and he said. It's the day Michael Jackson died. I remember that because the guy was telling me how much he loved Michael Jackson. But then he asked me, he goes, "So you're a Christian, right?" I said, "No." He goes, "I thought the military, all the Americans were all Christian." I was like, "No, I'm not Christian." Then he said, "Well, then what are you? What religion do you belong to?" I'm like, "I'm not religious." And he had given me a look like, "That's a possibility?" But at the same time,
what? That's something that can happen.
Originally, it's a funny story because the guy didn't realize you could choose to be irreligious. But it's also coming into contact with what Mikey was saying. People in other countries that were, going to war in think we're all a Christian military as well.
Right.
Well, and when you have fucking companies putting out biblical verses on.
It was on the ACOGs,
on sites for weapons that really goes a long way toward promoting that kind of narrative.
Yeah. Or even like some of the photos and the videos we're watching where they show the Templar type, the Christian soldier. I mean, I've seen that kind of stuff because you always got military units that are painting the barricades and stuff and seeing that kind of stuff painted on the barricades.
They're all warriors for Jesus.
Yeah. The one thing I've never seen is a Christian flag flying at a military base. And if it's been there, I didn't notice if someone was flying a Christian flag. But the only place I've ever really seen a Christian flag flying around here is on the back of someone's pickup truck with a Confederate flag.
Yeah. I think the work that they're doing is incredibly important and valuable. And it's disturbing to me to realize how many people in the military, high-ranking officials in the military, are on board with this dominionist narrative.
Well, it sounds to me a little bit like, and maybe I got the wrong impression from what Mikey was saying, but it sounds like he was sort of suggesting that the people who have that attitude are promoted more.
That's what it sounded like.
Yeah. So if that's the case, then it's not surprising at all that the leadership is all like that, because they're hand-picking dominionists to lead the certain parts of the military, which is even extra scary.
Yeah, it's something that I think the rest of the world views us as kind of nuts that way, right? That they think we are. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of people around the world who have this perception of the United States as waging a holy war against all of these other countries that we're currently embroiled.
Yeah, anti-Muslim Christian crusaders.
Yeah,
even the countries we're at war in think it's a holy war.
Yeah, well, and when you've got people on our own fighting forces who are promoting that, then that's a really fucking awful thing. And so it's great that the MRFF is around to help discourage some of that and put, tamp down some of those worst angels of our nature, I guess.
Yeah.
I just am still very impressed with Mikey and the whole MRFF thing. That was very, very cool.
Yeah, he's a sharp guy.
What have you got for us?
I have a story.
Okay.
And I'm going to Tarantino this story a little bit, meaning that I'll start kind of with the end. Well, sort of an ending part of it, and then go back to how it got
many
there
acts?
And stuff. There's probably about 3.
Okay.
So this will be 4 years after the events to be described.
Okay.
The police went back into the case of the Jamison family. They uncovered a strange security video taken outside the Jamison home the night they left it. In the video, the couple is seen going back and forth between the house and truck, packing up their belongings, seemingly not talking to each other the entire time. As if that weren't strange enough, prior to the Jamison family disappearance, Bobby Dale Jamison had gone to his pastor, and they talked about their belief that the Jamison home was haunted, saying that he had 2 to 4 ghosts on the roof.
It's a squirrel.
2 to 4. I wonder how you quantify how many ghosts there are.
You count the steps? I don't know.
The following are the events of the Jamison family as a result of their incorrect and non-skeptical beliefs about their haunted home. Bobby Dale Jamison, his wife Sherry Lynn, and their 6-year-old daughter Madison were leaving what appeared to be normal lives in Eufaula, Oklahoma, until October 8, 2009. That day, all 3 of them mysteriously disappeared from their home with no indication of where they could have possibly gone. After a few days of searching, the police turned up the family's pickup truck, but it only raised more questions.
Fucking ghosts got them.
The truck was found in Latimer County, about an hour drive from the Jamison home. But the items discovered inside the truck seemed to indicate the couple had not planned to be away from the truck for long. Inside, investigators found their IDs, wallets, phones, Sherry Lynn's purse, and the family dog, which was malnourished but still barely alive in the backseat of the truck. They also found $32,000 in cash. Both Bobby Dale and Sherry Lynn were on disability at the time of their disappearance, and where they could have gotten that much cash, or what they intended to do with it, was unknown. It's also a mystery as to how they got so far from the abandoned truck, both being on disability. But they couldn't explain why they would have brought their daughter along with them, and it was impossible to tell from the condition of the truck if they'd left it voluntarily or been forced out of the car by someone else, perhaps leaving their belongings behind while under duress. A search party was formed, and investigators combed through miles of woods and surrounding area looking for any trace of the Jamison family, and turned up nothing. The case went cold until November 16, 2013. That day, just 3 miles from where the truck was found 4 years earlier, hunters stumbled upon the partial skeletal remains of 2 adults and 1 child. Forensic testing proved that they were the skeletons of the Jamison family, but due to the state of decomposition, no cause of death could be determined.
They were the ghosts all along.
Fucking ghosts.
Despite all the mysterious clues and leads, police haven't been able to untangle the mystery of the Jamison family death. The case remains unsolved to this day. All we know for sure is that the entire family was terrified into action that led to the unnecessary deaths of 3 people because of faulty reasoning. The belief in ghosts killed this family. So why not just let people have their beliefs? What's the harm?
So we know that they left the home because of ghosts?
Well,
that's according to their pastor that said.
Yeah, this is the timeline that they can establish, so it's the best guess.
Huh. That's really strange.
It is.
Like, why would they gather their belongings and that cash just to go die somewhere else? Right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, it may not be that they intended to die.
It also seems weird that if you're having car troubles and you break down and you're near some woods, you need to go through the woods. I don't know what kind of dog it was, but I'd probably bring the dog with me because the dog's going to alert you to something way before you realize something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So probably you're thinking that they got out of the truck involuntarily.
Involuntarily. But that also goes into questioning, why was the money in it?
And
why didn't they go through the vehicle? And why didn't, if you're being taken from a car involuntarily, you're not just going to get out and close the door right away. The dog probably would have gotten out of the car.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Stupid dog didn't let him know.
It all sounds weird. I think the ghost did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Followed him, hitched a ride in the back of the truck, and as soon as they stopped for anything, it was just on him.
Yeah, so actually it was Bobby Dale and Sherry Lynn that were haunted, not the house.
Oh.
So the ghost followed them. Then when they got to a creepy location, they killed him.
I just think, well, I thought it was, I mean, it's a terribly tragic story.
Sure.
But why are the ghosts on the roof?
Yeah. And 2 to 4 of them.
Like, of all places to be haunting a house, it's not the basement, it's not...
Oh, you know why?
Huh.
It's the ghost of Santa Claus.
Santa Claus and
that was his last
1
delivery.
to 3 of his
elves,
reindeer,
Spring Hill Jack,
his elves that were helping him on the way. That they crashed into that house in their last delivery, and now they're still there trying to figure out how to get in.
Well, now what are you going to do for all the little kids who are out there listening to the show right now?
Oh, don't worry,
and
since Santa died,
Santa is dead.
Well, yeah, their parents took over the job.
Oh. Do the parents know this?
Oh, yeah, they got the memo.
Oh, so now you're just telling the kids that their parents have been lying to them the whole time.
Well, you gotta
Way to go, Ryan.
It's like, do you really think your goldfish went to the lake to swim with the bigger fishies?
I figure that's what happens when you flush it down the toilet after it dies.
No, it goes to the treatment plant. And that's not a pretty place.
Oh. Well, what else have you got for us, Matt?
Memphis, Tennessee. A history class discussion about religion versus science turned into a debate at Southwind High School. Quote, "We're up every morning at 4:45, said Sharon Jackson, who took her 5 grandchildren in. She keeps her living room table full of schoolwork to keep up with what they're learning. This is homework. It's already been done and graded. But one piece of homework her grandchildren brought home from the Southwind High School history teacher stood out to her. Quote, he talked about how there was no heaven and there was no God and everything your parents and grandparents are teaching you is a lie, Jackson said. Notes her granddaughter took from the history class said, science explains mature course. The Bible is based on faith, not evidence. The church cannot be a source because it is just a building. Jackson said her grandson was actually forced into a group that was separated by religion and science. Her granddaughter actually learned everything from a PowerPoint, which she wrote down on paper. Quote, the group he put my grandson in was the group that was scientific over religion. So he told him, I don't believe in scientific over religion. That's when the teacher told him, you can do 2 papers, Jackson said. She said she was furious and couldn't believe what she was hearing. Seeing how her family attends church every Sunday, Jackson felt she had to speak up.
Why isn't her God speaking for her?
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, if there were a problem, he'd step in and put the kibosh on it, right?
Yeah.
Quote, when they talked to him and asked why he did it, he said something about Mississippi laws, close quote. The Shelby County School District told us high school students regularly discuss current events and trending topics during class, and the assignment was a result. The teacher was instructed to cancel the assignment because it was not part of the district curriculum. Quote, I really pray it helps other parents understand that there are people with other beliefs. and they're trying to get our kids to believe in other things, Jackson said. We also asked the district questions about normal protocol for teacher discussions and assignments in hopes to learn who approves what's taught in classrooms. They also asked if the teacher had any repercussions, and they haven't heard back. So I just want to say this was Simone Woolridge of WREG.com, and you are a terrible writer. This was really hard to read and hard to follow along. So maybe move out of Tennessee.
Oh.
So there's that.
So I've been listening to the two Skeptical Chappies.
Yeah, we have.
And I've noticed, I think on the last 3 episodes that I listened to, when they're doing their Snopes game.
I'm going to have to break it to you, Dan.
Snopes.
I think it's been more than 3.
Is it more than 3?
I was listening to the most recent episode this morning on the way home from work, and guess what? It was on that one, too.
Well, it's fascism. Because during their Snopes thing, I've heard Spike say that he's using his lucky coin.
Yes.
He has to use his lucky coin.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a true skeptic would not believe in luck.
In fact,
that's something a non-skeptical person would believe.
I believe that they have dealt out pretty harsh demotions for members of their organization having lucky items.
Yeah. Like lucky numbers.
I believe it was our friend Tamel.
Yeah.
Taboo,
who wrote them something about a lucky number jersey or something.
No, when he became an agent, he said, oh, right, that's my lucky number. So they demoted him.
They squashed him for a while, and then they played games with it, trying to make him work really hard to get back and all that. They were kind of nasty about it.
Yeah.
Those
fascist bastards.
And now we've got lucky coins. We've got a whole bunch of touching wood, a whole bunch of psychic predictions about different things from them, especially from Spike. I don't know what's going on over there.
But Spike is using an algorithm, using math to do some of his predictions for the sports stuff, at least. So that's science.
Well, they were doing political predictions.
They were, but
they're psychic political predictions, remember?
But that was more comedy. Because you could literally say, I bet Trump's going to say he's going to murder someone on 5th Avenue and be like, oh, fuck, he did say it.
You could just name whatever fucking crazy thing you want.
And he'll say it.
Happen. Yeah.
So it was more of a Nostradamus thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought that was an interesting thing.
Very interesting.
Yeah, but it seems like Spike is taking that lucky coin pretty seriously.
Because, yeah, he absolutely is. And I have meant to send them a message for a while, and then I thought, oh no, we should probably talk about it ourselves and maybe include it in the show to point out, hey man, that shit is fucked up.
Well, here, I have not had my rights stricken from me yet.
Oh, now you will. For speaking out about our British overlords.
Spike, you've been demoted.
Oh, you didn't play the sound. You had the sound queued up. Wait, you had the sound. I mean, whenever you're going to demote Matt, you had it like ready on the line.
Okay, so here's an issue. I downloaded them onto my phone.
Uh-huh.
They both have the same name.
Who has the same name?
Oh, you don't know which file's which?
Both files have the same name. So
that's great organizing skills there, Duffy.
So we need to also
agent demoted.
Oh wait,
and promoted.
And promoted.
No, because it autoplays the next song.
Oh, tech fail.
Screw you, Google Music.
Also, we need to send them I don't know, they probably are aware because it's a British thing, but the entire genre of music called chap hop.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well I posted a link to their little page.
Oh, did you?
I said little. That sounded bad. I didn't mean it like their little page.
Condescending.
They put more on their page than we do on ours.
I meant to say Facebook page. There, I used the word little. They've got a good following.
Did they comment back on it? I didn't see.
I have been too busy to actually check.
Oh, okay.
I haven't been on the social medias a whole lot. Like I'll see stuff during break or when I'm taking a tinker stinker. You play on your phone.
Yep.
So I'm checking Facebook and whatever, and I'll post something occasionally, but I haven't had a whole lot of time to argue with people as much as I would like online and stuff. Like, I feel like there's something missing from my life because I haven't been able to do that as much. But yeah, so I posted that out on their Facebook page, and I have not gone back to see if they've seen it or commented or anything. Maybe they're busy also.
Maybe.
On holiday. Dan's out there thwarting another mugging or doing some ninja karate stuff.
Hanging out with Gandalf.
Right.
I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Lucian Greaves, spokesperson and co-founder of the Satanic Temple. Check out my website, greyfaction.org, if you want to be disgusted and alarmed. You're listening to Godless Revolution.
Has that old cliche, there are no atheists in foxholes, ever been proved or even proved relevant? I mean, is there any indication that atheist soldiers are less fit for battle or the aftermath than their theistic comrades?
Yes, it's been proven to be as correct as Paul Bunyan or the Loch Ness Monster. It's completely ridiculous. But in this country, we do not determine, your viability as an American citizen, particularly if you're wearing that uniform, by whether or not, you have a particular view of religion.
Rejoining the Godless Revolution podcast now.
Do you have any other stories that are really hard to read?
Probably. Well, I have a whole bunch of stories right here.
We got a good video one we can probably pull up.
What's that?
The one from the LDS meeting in Arizona this last week, where the woman that was
McKenna Denson?
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about that.
We haven't talked about that. Okay, yeah, let me grab that video and stuff here. You were talking about McKenna Denson, right? The LDS woman. I think she's still LDS. I think I think in her thing she mentions her Lord and Savior.
That she still has a
she still loves the Savior, something like that. But she confronted her attacker, the person who molested her at the LDS MTC.
The Mormon Training, is that it?
Mormon Training Center.
Can we call it, it's going to have his name change, isn't it?
Molesting.
No,
molesting
Church
the
of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints Training Center.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the Missionary Training Center.
Oh, Missionary.
that's right.
Never mind.
Yeah. Did I say Mormon?
I
was just yes-ending you, I think, while I was trying to think of other things. Yeah.
When I started saying, I'm like, no, that's not right. And you're like, oh, no, it is. I'm like, oh, it is? Oh, okay.
I got something right. Well, kudos to me. Yay.
Weird they would call it that.
Yeah, it's the Missionary Training Center.
Yes, that's right.
But she confronted the man who had molested her, sexually assaulted her in the basement of the MTC.
And admitted to it on tape.
Right.
And had zero actions taken against him by the church and has not been punished at all.
No, he hasn't been excommunicated. He hasn't been even disfellowshipped. He still attends church regularly, is a member in good standing.
Well, at the same time, there's another member of the LDS Church who's been on a hunger strike until they stop asking kids sexual questions in their
Sam
meetings.
Young.
And this weekend, he's being kicked out of the church.
Sam Young, who has served as a bishop and wants the LDS Church to change their policy around bishops interviewing young children with no other people around and asking them very pointed, very personal questions about their sexual behavior and
which should be
thoughts and
no adult should be asking a minor about their.
No, dude, that's like a pedophile's wet dream, right?
It's fucking sick.
Send the children to me to ask them very personal sexual questions behind closed doors. That's setting up people to act badly.
Yeah.
It's a terrible situation.
It just, you wonder how something like that even gets started, because it just sounds like such a bad idea right from the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, like who thought, hey, yeah, let's put young children in a room with an adult male with no other supervision, no other oversight at all, and have him ask them very personal questions about their sexual behavior and thoughts. Have him ask them if they are touching themselves and masturbating and thinking about sex, if they've committed any sexual acts with other people.
Yeah. And then explain that sexual act to me, how it happened.
Yeah. Yeah, who the fuck did that and was like, that sounds like a great idea. We should do this. Let's roll it out to all of our wards.
Yeah.
All of our local churches should be doing this.
It's pretty disgusting.
And to have an untrained layman clergy person, which is what the LDS Church is with their bishops and stake presidents and everything. They have no theological training. Most of them have no social behavioral training, no psychology or psychiatry training. They're lay people.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, maybe you have a bishop who's also a social worker or is also a psychologist or psychiatrist.
They're just LARPing.
Some kind of therapist. But it's not. I mean, typically it's a guy who owns a car sales lot or or a small construction company or something like that.
Chiropractor.
Right? Yeah, a chiropractor. That's another good one. Yeah. And it's just these lay people who are put into positions of authority over these people. And like I said, they have no specific training. They have no specific knowledge in these areas. And they're asking young, vulnerable children these incredibly personal questions with nobody else in the room.
No.
And then you see it all the time where a child will tell their parents, oh, well, I haven't mentioned this, but, something's going on and I want to tell you. And then they will tell their parents, oh, brother so-and-so touched me or father so-and-so touched me. And these people of great faith in their chosen religious belief look at their child and go, oh, that's impossible. He's a good Christian boy. Oh, he's a good Mormon boy. He's a good Catholic. That would never happen. A priest would never do that to a small child. You've got to be kidding me. You're making this up. I'm going to wash your mouth out with soap. How could you say something so terrible about a good, godly man like that?
And in this case with this woman, maybe that's what this guy was doing during his excuse for these interview processes.
Well, yeah, and
one-on-one.
So when she recorded him, when she confronted him initially and recorded him, and he confessed to sexually assaulting this woman and said that she's not the only one that he's done this to.
Yeah.
There are several other women that he's sexually assaulted at the Missionary Training Center. And he's still a member in good standing.
Yeah.
And after the church heard the tapes, and the church heard the tapes and then tried to change the local laws here so that those tapes would never see the light of day.
And the funny thing is the church their defense had nothing to do with proving he didn't do it. Their whole defense was you can't try this in court. She took too long to come forward, which is also bullshit.
Yeah. Statute of limitations has run out on this.
Because she tried to come forward several times. Now, since she was going through the MTC, I think females were they had to be 20. They can be 18 now, but I think when she went through, because she went through in the 80s.
No, what are
20 to 21?
Yeah, I don't know what the ages are now or what they were, but I know women in the LDS faith have to be older than their male counterparts to go on.
Not
missions,
anymore.
Right?
Because I remember that
are they both 18 now?
They're both 18 now.
It used to be 19 for boys and 20 for girls, though.
Okay. That's why, because I looked up Utah state law. If you're above the age if you're 18 or older, you have to report it within 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a minor, 17 or younger, there's no time limit. So you prey on kids that are older than 18, send them on a 2-year mission. Guess what? By the time they come back, statute of limitations is gone.
Well, and we're talking about faithful Mormons who go to the Missionary Training Center thinking that they're going to be trained up to go out into the field and do God's work, proselytizing people and bringing them into the fold for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yeah, they're not going to come forward with these allegations or tell people, hey, this happened to me, because they want to go on their mission. They want to stay in good standing with the church, or else they're going to fucking hell.
Well, and they've got their God goggles on. They've got their rose-tinted lenses where they think that, everybody who's LDS is clearly a good person. They would never do anything wrong to them. That's why Utah is such a hotbed for fucking pyramid schemes and for pedophile rings and, bishops asking inappropriate questions of people, because they think that wearing this badge or claiming this title of being an LDS person or a Mormon makes you somehow instantly a good person.
Yeah, which is bullshit.
That you could do no wrong because you're a Mormon. I can't tell you how many people I've gotten fucked over by good upstanding Mormons.
Oh, yeah. At work?
All over the place.
Yeah.
At work, in my personal life. Yeah.
Dude, and the way they drive like selfish, crazy assholes too. Like they're not considerate and kind and, you know, all those things that they're supposed to be. They're fucking retarded on the streets.
God's on their side, so they can do no wrong. But this is
cut that out, I guess. R word. Huh?
But well, no, I mean, in a lot of in the traditional sense of the word, a lot of the things in their life have been retarded because of their religious faith.
Right.
Their growth has been stunted. They have been retarded in their development because they don't know much about the outside world apart from what their faith teaches them.
Right. Great save.
You're very welcome. But this comes to us from the Salt Lake Tribune. It says, woman who accused former MTC president of rape confronts his LDS Church ward in Arizona. And apparently he was sitting
in the back. They show him on the video.
Yeah, in the pews that he's sitting there while she does this. And the video comes to us from new name Noah, Mike Norton, who has been on the show previously as well. He's the one who does a lot of the recordings in the Mormon temples. Yeah. Or LDS temples. I can't, like, I know that they want to be referred to as by the full name, right? The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or just the church. But if I say just the church,
which church?
That's a really arrarrogant fucking thing to say.
It is.
It's horrible.
Anybody outside Utah would say, what church?
Well, for a lot of people, Catholicism is the church.
Right.
You know, so.
Well, depending on what region you're from, whichever dominant religion is in that region, it's the church.
Yeah. But he's the one who published this out on YouTube. It's dated, it starts out and says September 2nd, 2018, 9:36 a.m.
I don't live here. I live in Colorado. I'm really grateful, though, to be able to stand up and bear my testimony today because...
And this was filmed during a fast and testimony meeting at the LDS Ward House. For those of you who are not LDS or don't know, fast and testimony happens, once a month, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's once a month.
The first Sunday of the month.
Yeah, and you're supposed to fast, and then during church service, there's a section of the service where you can get up and bear your testimony about your faith in the church.
Yeah, any member of the congregation can just walk up and say what they want.
Yeah, and it's usually, I mean, it's very formulaic. Usually they walk up to the microphone and they say, you know, I'm so-and-so, and I just want to bear my testimony that I believe that this church is true.
No, I know the church is true.
I know the church is true. I know Joseph Smith was a prophet of God. You know, and it just goes on from there. And then if it's little kids, it's usually followed up with, and I love my mom and dad because their parents are coaching them in the sidelines. But so she gets up during fast and testimony and delivers this little speech.
My testimony today because I have great confidence and love for the Savior. Edmund Burke said that the only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. The First Presidency and the Quorum of the 12 Apostles are covering a sexual predator that lives in your ward. His name is Joseph Bishop. He was the...
Oh, she done named him.
Oh, yeah.
And then the cameras pan over to him sitting in the pews. And so I've read accounts of her telling about this afterward. And she said, I looked directly at him when I said that, and his jaw just dropped open. And he sat there, mouth agape, the whole time she was up at the podium.
MTC president in 1984 when he raped me in the basement of the MTC. If you're not aware of this, thank you. Yeah, I'll be done in just a minute.
And one of the nice young Mormon men sitting up there in the stands comes over to basically get her away from the microphone.
Take control of the situation.
Since this is an audio podcast, you're not watching the video right now. The guy sitting closest to her, you can see him look to his left, like away from her, like, oh, what the fuck do we do?
How do we handle this situation? Oh my God. Oh, that's right. We haven't been trained for anything like this. Oh, crap.
Although that looks like the same place that the 12-year-old girl got up. It's basically for her testimony.
Well,
how
the ward houses are all pretty much the same.
But it's probably all Mike's.
Also, this guy is putting his hands on her.
Yeah.
He's being physical.
Yeah.
I will. Thank you.
I'd love to talk to you after.
Okay.
Can I talk to
However,
you
absolutely.
Can I talk to you afterward? Absolutely. I would love to talk to you afterward.
Let me finish.
But he's basically trying to say, rather than talk now, let's talk afterward.
Yeah.
But she's like, oh no, I'm going to talk now, and I would love to talk to you afterward.
Can I talk to
However, absolutely. I'd love to talk to you afterwards.
you? Please.
However, for the atonement to take place, we have to be accountable for what we do. We don't.
And they've got, there's
multiple camera people.
3 or 4 different camera angles in this video. And so it's obvious that there are members in the congregation or people sitting in the congregation who knew this was coming and have had their phones out or cameras rolling while this is going on. And that little sound you heard there and a little mumbling and some scuffle was apparently somebody else in the congregation who realized that the person next to them or near them was filming. And so this woman gets up and basically blocks the camera or phone from somebody who is recording this.
Don't get to.
Thank you.
To you, okay? But you know what? You're in my personal space.
Okay.
Excuse me. No. I have more to say. My name is McKenna Denson.
Okay.
I approve this message.
I thought that was funny when I first had it. Like, I approve this message, like it's a political ad.
Yeah.
I approve this message. I will share with you. However, it is really important. It is really important that you understand. In order to keep our ward safe, in order to keep our church safe, do not call the police. Don't touch me. You're assaulting me. In order to keep the church safe, we need to hold sexual predators accountable, whether they are.
And you can tell that these guys were totally unprepared and are in just full panic mode.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because they have buttons on their fucking chairs to raise and lower the podium and to turn the microphone on and off. I know this. They had that shit when I was 7 and 8 years old in church. They could turn the microphone on and off and raise the podium up and down.
Mm-hmm. This one to stop.
But they're just fucking panicking, and so he's like, "Oh, I have to make her stop talking."
He's trying to physically move her and get her. He's like pushed right up against her body.
Oh yeah, and they're both grabbing her by her arms and putting their arms around her.
But they don't quite dare to like really rip her away from it, but they want to.
Yeah, they're not being rough with her, but they are very much trying to get her away from the microphone, when really all they would have to do is turn the microphone off and say, okay, well we've called the police. They're coming. And
they're probably also very well aware someone is taping this.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, they're doing, everything they're doing is wrong. It's all wrong.
Correct.
Whether they are pedophiles or whether they are rapists like Joseph Bishop.
For you to share this, okay? Come on.
Did he say it's not nice of you to share this?
Was it not nice or not?
I'm going to back that up just a second here.
Rapists like Joseph Bishop.
For you to share this, okay?
Not the place.
Oh, this is not the place for you to share this.
But I thought this is the place.
I was going to say that's a funny thing for a Mormon to say. This is not the place.
Yeah.
Come on.
You know, this is assault, right? And you know that we're filming this, right?
And it's awesome that she must have like a lapel mic on or her phone.
That's what she's holding her phone up. She's recording the audio. The audio we're hearing is from her phone.
So they might have some really good audio.
So they might have cut her mic out, and she just got louder.
Oh, yeah, that is possible. Yeah.
So that's why it was getting a little more distorted, because I think she was trying to yell because her mic wasn't on anymore. But we don't hear it because we're hearing the audio from her cell phone recording next to her.
Not the internal speaker system there.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Okay. So maybe they did turn the microphone off. Yeah.
That's why they were frantic after that, because they're like, fuck, what else do we do?
Yeah.
But that's why I'm like, she probably has a loud enough voice to carry in that small room.
Uh-huh.
This is not assault.
So they take her away, and that's basically the end of the video. I want to return to the article here from the Salt Lake Tribune, because it says, the woman who alleges the former president of the Missionary Training Center raped her in 1984 brought her battle to an LDS ward in Arizona on Sunday, and a video of her repeating her accusations there has been posted on YouTube, which is the video we just played for you. McKenna Denson is seen speaking during the monthly fast and testimony meeting at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints ward. Quote, the First Presidency and the Quorum of the 12 Apostles are covering a sexual predator that lives in your ward, end quote, she says from the podium. Quote, his name is Joseph Bishop. He was the MTC president in 1984 when he raped me in the basement of the MTC.
Not to make a joke about it, but do you call him Bishop?
Probably, yeah. You would. It'd be Bishop. Or you could just say B squared if you're if you're all into it. On her Facebook page, Denson wrote, "Yes, Joseph Bishop was there. I looked him in the eye. He sat with his son Stephen, who was the same person who walked up to ask President Jones to silence me." The video, titled McKenna Denson's Testimony in Joseph Bishop's Mormon Congregation, was posted on the New Name Noah channel, which describes itself as a series of videos made with hidden cameras inside Mormon temples. These are made to expose the truth about what goes on inside Mormon temples around the world. Denson's lawsuit against Bishop was thrown out because the statute of limitations had expired. Because of the that's poorly worded there. But the ruling allowed a claim against the LDS Church for fraud for presenting him as a safe and trustworthy leader to continue. So it sounds like they had a two-prong approach, and one prong is gone, but she's still going with
they had to shuffle a little bit.
New Name Noah posted a second video of Denson outside the meeting house that shows her telling another man, "Your dad raped me at the MTC."
I had not seen that one.
I haven't seen this one either. Let's check it out.
That's quick.
Somebody walking up with their cell phone.
I appreciate what you're saying out too. But you have to understand too, from my point of view, you guys can just record me.
Hey, I got it.
From my point of view, your dad raped me at the MTC.
Yeah, right.
So, well, listen to the audio. You'll hear it.
He probably hasn't listened to any of the audio.
He said he can imagine himself doing that.
Yeah, his son probably hasn't listened to any of the audio because
he doesn't want to.
Well, and the LDS Church tells them not to look at anything that doesn't come from official LDS sources because it could be trying to just lead them away from the church.
To be fair, though, it isn't the son's fault or responsibility.
No, right, yeah.
To know any of that or to be up on that. He's a victim too, if this is the case.
Who's a victim too?
The son of the rapist would also be a victim to find out that his father's a rapist and to, that would victimize him as well. I mean, they're almost acting like he's part of the rapist party just because he's related to the rapist.
Well, it depends on how staunchly he's defending his father with the evidence that's out there.
Yeah, but I mean, at this point, if he doesn't know any of it, it's just her word. I wouldn't believe that about somebody I knew. If somebody else just, like we've talked about this before.
If somebody just showed
somebody
up
walked
in your
up and said, if somebody said, "Oh, Dan did that," yeah, right. Okay.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't know how he could not know that there's audio of his father admitting to this out there, because it is out there and it's all over everywhere.
But that's about an hour long of recording.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's just a little side note that he's not at fault here.
Yeah. He's not at fault for what happened to her.
No, but
either at the time or now. But
he was one of the guys that kicked her out.
Well, the story said that he walked up to the podium and asked them to have her stop or leave or whatever. But she says, "Well, listen to the audio," says Denison, who recorded Bishop apologizing, describing himself as a predator and confessing to other sexual misconduct in 2017. But saying he didn't remember taking her into the basement room, let alone sexually assaulting her. The LDS Church provided this statement to Fox 13 in response to the videos.
So basically, he doesn't remember assaulting her.
Yeah, I remember assaulting a lot of women there, but I don't remember this with you in particular.
Like, I had a room specifically for doing it. But you don't stand out in my assaults.
I don't remember you being in my rape room in the basement of the Missionary Training Center. The statement from the LDS Church says, quote, "Once each month, members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints participate in a worship service that includes an opportunity for members to share their testimonies of the Savior, Jesus Christ, and His gospel. It is disappointing that anyone would interrupt such a worship service to bring attention to their own personal cause. Recording and posting of these disruptions on social media to seek public attention and media coverage sadly shows an unfortunate lack of respect for others. We respectfully request that those with personal grievances find other means to communicate their messages than disrupting the sanctity of a worship service."
She tried that in the 80s, in the 90s, and in the 2000s. And guess what, LDS fucking church? You didn't listen, and you never did a single thing about it.
They find her behavior disappointing because she interrupted their worship service. But the guy who is an admitted sexual predator is sitting in their church. They have no fucking problem with that. Yeah. Apparently that's just fine and peachy. That's hunky-dory, okay dandy. But somebody standing up and saying, oh, hey, did you guys know that you have a rapist sitting in the pews here? Somebody who is admitted to sexually assaulting women, several women, at the Missionary Training Center while he was head of it? Did you know that he's sitting right there? Then they've got a problem with it.
Yeah.
Hey, but him just being in church and participating fully as a faithful member, there's no problem with that. There's no problem with the things that he did because, of course, he's still a member in good standing. But bringing it up in church, well, that's just too much. We can't have that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fucking disgusting.
I'm Bryce Barkenagel. Have you ever wondered if Joseph Smith was drugging the early Mormons? Turns out it might be possible when you have a fantastic congregation that is witnessing angels floating around in the rafters and think that the temple is on fire and they're running out in the snow and writhing around on the ground naked. Yeah, as it turns out, drugs might be the best explanation. Be sure to check out my Sunstone Symposium presentation on the Joseph Smith entheogen theory by punching that into any YouTube browser. And thank you so much for checking that out, and be sure to check out the Naked Mormonism podcast. This is the Godless Revolution.
It is a big deal. We've had many, many soldiers reach out to us. Some are oblivious, but many, many others, and the thousands are well aware that it's there. They've described it as a sick and a very scary joke, and that it allows the Mujahideen, the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, the insurrectionists, and jihadists to be claiming that they're being shot by Jesus rifles.
Thank you to everybody who has rated the show on iTunes and Stitcher and are following us on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. And to all our Patreon patrons, you make the show possible.
For our listeners who don't know, Utah has a ballot initiative this year, Prop 2, which is seeking to legalize medical use of marijuana here in the state of Utah.
Medical use.
Medical use.
Some of the most restrictive medical uses of marijuana.
Yeah. For the ballot measure, that it's not like you can just, go online and get somebody to write you a prescription. Like a lot of, some of the other states.
Like California, you walk into a store, you go, hey, my knee hurts. Here's your weed card. You walk next door and you get your weed.
Yeah, very, very permissive. And here in Utah, they've crafted this so that it would not be like that. You actually have to go to a trained medical professional who actually writes you a prescription
for certain ailments.
Yeah, and then you can go and legally purchase marijuana to help alleviate some of the symptoms that you may have.
One of the few planned dispensaries in the state.
Yeah, it's not going to be super permissive, super easy to get type of thing. And the LDS Church is up in arms about it. They've come out publicly and said that they're against it. Their statement on it was pretty ridiculous, with all of the different restrictions for what they would like to see as far as how it would go, a lot of which are actually even met within the ballot measure.
Yeah. But I think their biggest thing is they want to have it just straight up be a pharmaceutical grade from a company making it.
They
marijuana.
want it to be an extracted form. Yeah, not the leafy green stuff that you can.
They don't want a full plant form of it.
Right. Yeah, they want it to be strictly regulated, strictly formulaic. They want it to be a big pharma thing.
Which of what they want is already on the fucking market.
And a lot of the things that they wanted in their little statement of things where they would want, if it does this, and this, and goes through all these check boxes, then we'd be okay with it. But a lot of those things, like it would never happen.
No.
One of them, the biggest reason it would never happen is because it's still illegal at the federal level.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the stipulations in their thing, is that it would have to be
from a pharmacy. So you can go to your local Smith's drugstore and get it.
Yeah. Which is just
not going to happen.
Yeah. That's not going to happen. So it doesn't matter.
There'd be a lot of Smith's drugstores being broken into.
And so there's a group here in Utah who has created this ad that was running on a few different radio stations and a couple different television stations here that has since been pulled from at least two radio stations, K-Bear and KSL, I believe, are the two who have pulled it. because it is deceptive. It's
lying.
False. Yeah. It's deceptive ad practices in order to try to squash this. And if you have to lie about something in order to get your point through or accomplish what you want to do, if you have to lie about the facts of what's going on, then you have a weak fucking shit case,
and
right?
You're a bad person.
Yeah, and you're a bad person for doing it. Yeah. You shouldn't have to lie in order to support the thing that you want to have happen.
If the only way to make it sound like your side is correct is to mislead and to be dishonest, then you should change your view.
Yeah.
Not continue to lie.
Yeah.
And this isn't the first time they've had to try to lie and deceive the people, because you remember about 2 months ago when they had sending people door to door to get people to remove their name from the original initiative that got it on the ballot.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're lying to them the whole time. Like, you said you put your name on this, but it's recreational. And they're like, no,
do you know that this is going to be a recreational thing here? And it's not. They've used deceptive practices the entire time to try to get this removed. But so the local Fox News source here in Utah, which is of all of the local TV stations and their news reporting, the local Fox station is the best out of all of them.
Not connected to the 24-hour cable news Fox.
Correct.
No. Because I know there's been confusion about
and
that.
And not owned by the LDS.
They're connected as far as it's owned by Fox Media Corporation or whatever the fuck it is. But they're affiliated, but it's not run by Rupert Murdoch here locally. And so they go through some of the claims in the ad to determine if they are true or false.
We usually focus on television ads, but we heard complaints about this radio advertisement and found out at least one station pulled the ad after running it once.
This is Dr. Bill Hamilton. Utah voters are being asked to consider Proposition 2, what proponents claim is medical marijuana.
First, what's medical marijuana? Drug Safe Utah seems to say it's not medical if it has THC and might get you high.
And that's the name of the organization, is Medical Marijuana Utah. Is that what he said? Or
no, something else.
Shit, let me back it up. Hang on.
Seems to say it's not medical if it has marijuana. First, what's medical marijuana? Drug Safe Utah.
Drug Safe Utah.
Yeah. And the thing is, they're saying, well, if it might get you high, so THC is bad. Yeah, and the cocaine and codeine gets you high too.
Seems to say it's not medical if it has THC and might get you high. That might explain their first claim.
Prop 2 is actually about recreational use, not medical.
Prop 2 only allows marijuana by prescription. In the long-running national debate, that means it's medical. Claim number 1 is fiction.
Oh, busted. You fucking lied about it.
Yeah.
Like I said, you shouldn't have to lie about something in order to present your best case. You shouldn't have to fucking lie about it.
Also, who cares if it's recreational?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the other point too. They've forever stated that, well, this is just a slippery slope to recreational use. And it's like, okay, let's pretend it's not. It's not, of course. Let's pretend that it's not, but it is not. The ballot measure is not for recreational use.
Right.
But even if it were, so fucking what?
Yeah. And you have all these right-wingers who are against this, and they're the ones that are, America, freedom. No, you want to restrict all this stupid little petty bullshit.
Freedom and liberty, unless it's something that I don't want you to do.
Yeah. Right, libertarians. We want government shouldn't have it, but don't let anyone have marijuana.
Yeah.
But the government has no business to I don't know. They're fucking retarded.
State rights. But wait, marijuana is federally illegal.
Can you get me out of that one, Dan? Get me out of that one, too.
It would just be the same way.
I don't know why that's the same thing. I don't know why that's coming up. I don't use that word.
It's I don't know. It's because they've all been retarded in their development.
Yep. They need medical marijuana.
The ad's claim number 2.
Medicinal marijuana is already legal in Utah. Your doctor can prescribe it, or you can buy it over the counter.
No, you can't.
A new Utah.
That was a nice chorus duet thing that we had there.
Are you sure? What? You can't do what now?
Any of that.
Yeah. None of that's true.
Yeah.
Zero.
Their claim is that medicinal marijuana is already legal in Utah. Your doctor can prescribe it, or you can buy it over the counter. No.
So basically, that means you can just walk into a drugstore, and just pick up marijuana off the shelf and go buy it.
Yeah.
So then, what's the point of Prop 2 at all?
Well, yeah, and if that is the case, then why would they be creating this ad in the first place?
Yeah. Right.
They want to stop medical marijuana, but it's already available. What the fuck are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense at all.
Doesn't.
Like, the person who created this video is obviously fucking stupid, because they put right on there that it's already legal in Utah. So why would they have to create an ad to stop it from being legal?
Because they want to convince people that they don't need to vote for it.
Could be the case, but I mean, really, then they're acting in opposition to their own stated goals, because if it's already legal, then people would be like, well, what's the problem if I'm going to vote for it? It's already legal, so sure, I'll do it. Why not?
You can buy it over the counter.
A new Utah law only applies to patients with an illness that will, and I quote, produce death within 6 months.
Yeah, so basically, it's morphine drip or weed.
Yeah.
And
that's about quality of life at that point. You're just trying to make them comfortable until they die.
Well, yeah, and so why is it that they would... First, how do you determine exactly, okay, well, you've got 7 months to live, so just 1 more month and then you can get your weed, sir. Then you'll be okay. I know the pain is really, really fucking terrible right now. Your life is miserable, but you've only got to wait 1 more month, and then you can get medical weed until you die 6 months later.
Yeah.
How do they determine it?
But no smoking in the hospital.
Is there some genetic test or scientific test that I have previously been unaware of that can determine your exact date of death once you've been diagnosed with a terminal illness?
No.
Because that seems to be how this whole thing is structured.
You can get a good scientific guess based on the life expectancies of other people who had the same disease.
Well, sure, but I'm saying it's a silly, arbitrary thing to say, oh, well, yes, you have been diagnosed with a terminal illness, but we're going to say that you've probably got 18 months to live, so
we're going to wait
check back in a year.
Yeah, we're going to wait till you're in hospice, bedridden, before we'll take care of any of your pain.
Yeah, check back in a year, and then we'll see if you've got the remaining 6 months, if you're still around. But like, how often do you have to have this updated?
But what's even worse than that is that these people want to take that away. They want to say, oh, okay, well, this person has 6 miserable months left to live. I want to make sure that you don't get to have marijuana if you want it. You can't be comfortable for your last 6 months, even though you've got this horrible disease. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Because reasons.
You got 6 months left. You can have meth. You can have heroin, cocaine.
Yeah, we'll give you all of these horrible opioid drugs that are going to do terrible things to you.
But no weed.
You won't be able to shit right for the rest of your life, but hey... You won't be in that much pain other than the, large lump in your bowel that's collecting and drying up.
Those make you constipated, do they?
Yeah. Opioid constipation. It's a thing.
Yep, it is.
6 months. Over-the-counter sales are for an extract called cannabidiol, or CBD. For the vast majority of Utahns and for many potential products, claim number 2 is fiction.
Fiction, again. They lied about that.
So far, they're 100% false.
Yeah.
Yes.
Claim number 3.
Proposition 2 legalizes full plant marijuana and creates a new industry of grow houses and pot shop dispensaries selling edible marijuana with unregulated high levels of the dangerous drug THC.
First of all, THC is not a dangerous drug.
No, it's safer than alcohol.
By far.
Much safer, yeah. Much safer.
By far, yeah.
And they say that it legalizes full plant marijuana and creates a new industry of grow houses and pot shop dispensaries.
Doesn't do that.
Selling edible marijuana with unregulated high levels of the dangerous drug.
It doesn't do any of that. That's all completely false.
Well, it will have people have, so someone has to grow it.
Yeah.
In most states.
Okay, fair enough.
And they will have dispensaries.
They will have dispensaries. I wouldn't say pot shops.
Yeah.
And I would rather have an edible than to actually smoke it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, smoking is terrible. It smells bad and
it's bad for your health.
Yeah.
And then they can have the edibles.
But hey, you've only got 6 months to live, so what do you care about your
health?
And
you can't smoke in a hospital anyways.
Right.
But, I mean, the grow house thing is what gets me the most. It's like, okay, yeah, it's legalized. So guess what? You're going to have to grow it because most states don't allow transporting it across borders.
Right.
because of federal regulations. So we can't go buy weed from Colorado or Arizona and have it sold in dispensaries in Utah. You're going to have to grow your own weed. And guess what? Those are going to be even more fucking regulated than the pot shops.
Well, and all of this has behind it the incredibly fucking naive view that that marijuana is not available in Utah anymore.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right? That you can't go somewhere or find someone who knows someone who can get you marijuana in the state of Utah. That never happens.
Yeah.
There's no industry here for that at all.
I can probably go to the church down the street and find a kid in the parking lot and get some weed off of him.
But that's the underlying assumption here, is that there is no illegal drug trade here in Utah as far as marijuana is concerned, but this is going to bring in these marijuana industries. They're going to start growing it right here in Utah, as if that never happens, right?
Some context. All states with medical marijuana establish a dispensary system because pharmacies can't sell it.
Right. Pharmacies can't sell it because they're not in the business of selling this type of thing. They're in the business of selling pharmaceutical drugs.
Kind of like a grocery store in the state of Utah. It's not allowed to sell alcohol.
Yeah.
You have to go to a special store for that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Proposition 2 includes detailed rules about inspections, labeling and packaging, inventory control, and more. Claim number 3 has facts cloaked with fear. We call that fudging.
Fudging. I kind of like that because not only are they fudging with the facts there, but here in Utah, a lot of Mormon people, instead of saying fuck, will say fudge.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So
I didn't even think of that.
I thought that was kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
There are serious arguments against medical marijuana. You could say it's a slippery slope. It's illegal federally, that psychoactive drugs need serious testing. But this instead is a straw man ad. They make an easy argument that doesn't fit the facts.
True. Thank you very much, Fox 13. I'm very glad that they did that. Because the argument against it and all the things that they're saying are complete bullshit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's their scare tactic.
Caca.
Hi, this is Thomas Westbrook, and I have a YouTube channel called Holy Kool-Aid where I take topics and I break them down in 5 or 10 minute videos, trying to give a laser-focused perspective on religion, philosophy, and science. And you are listening to the Godless Revolution podcast.
Wherever I see unconstitutional religious persecution of any stripe on anyone, I don't fucking care if I live or die. Someone will get a beating and I will administer it.
If you have questions, comments, concerns, compliments, corrections, criticisms, or concepts for content, contact the show via email at godlessrevolution@gmail.com, by text or voicemail at 330-81-REBEL, or Twitter the Twatter at TGR Podcast. Thank you!
And Burt Reynolds is dead now.
A legendary mustache gone.
That was one of my favorite things about him, was that high-pitched laugh that he would have. That just, I don't know, it always made me giggle whenever I would hear him laugh. And he passed away this week at the age of 82. I believe from
a heart attack. Yes, had cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
Well, technically everyone dies of a heart attack. Unless you get your head chopped off.
Or they die of brain dead. They die of brain dead.
Yeah.
When your brain is no longer functioning, then you're dead.
That's what I said. If you get your head lopped off or your brain's blown out, then that kind of kills you.
Yeah, I mean, or if you get run over, shot.
Well, it's usually the loss of blood that causes your heart to quit.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but it was his passing this week that was one of the things that brought me down a little bit. But he's in a bunch of great movies that I love: Cannonball Run, Smoking the Bandit. I've never seen Gator. I actually had not even, I think, heard of it until his death this week. And
I've only watched Deliverance once.
Well, at least we know he's in a better place.
Ground?
That's pretty good.
I think that's what he would say. No, I was a little bummed out, and it was kind of weird because Tracy was making dinner just a few nights ago, and she just has the television on for noise while she's in there doing it. And Smoking the Bandit was on, and I just happened to hang out in there for a little while and watch that with her and helped her with dinner a little bit. And then like 2 days later, found out that he had died, and I was like, oh, that's a bummer.
He was looking pretty worn
He was
out.
looking old, yeah.
Yeah.
He was 82. I mean, it's a fairly long life.
And he kind of, I'm betting, lived a little rough and fast there for quite a while.
Oh, sure, yeah. But he, by all accounts, everybody loved him. He was a great guy, fun to be around, just a lot of laughs, and turned down a lot of really incredible roles that would have transformed his acting career. I mean, he turned down Han Solo.
He had a good acting career, but...
Well, sure. But, I mean, he could have been Han Solo. He could have been James Bond. There are a bunch of things that he turned down that other people took up and had great careers launched because of those roles that he specifically turned down.
Yeah.
And I don't know why he turned them down. Maybe he was just busy with other stuff or didn't like him, whatever the case may be. Maybe he was busy filming Cannonball Run when these things happened. I don't know. But yeah, that was kind of a bummer. He seemed like a really good dude. Speaking of good dudes, though, our friend Nick Fish was named President of American Atheists this week. I really like Nick, and I think he'll do a great job.
Yeah.
This comes to us from American Atheist website. It says, the board of directors of American Atheists today announced that Nick Fish, an activist with a decade of experience in nonprofit organizing, advocacy, and coalition building, has been named the 55-year-old organization's new president. Fish has spent 6 years with American Atheists, serving as the organization's director of development from 2012 to 2015, and national program director and spokesperson for the last 3 years. Before joining American Atheists, Fish worked with the Secular Coalition for America in Washington, D.C., and in small donor fundraising and marketing for a variety of national political and progressive advocacy groups. Quote, in today's political and social climate, the work of American Atheists is more important than ever, said Fish. Religious equality and the separation of religion from government, which is the foundation of true religious freedom in our nation, is under attack at every level of our government and our military.
Yeah.
American Atheists must be the leading voice in the fight to put a human face on the discrimination enabled by religious privilege and in ending the stigma associated with atheism in America. Neil Carey, chair of the American Atheist Board of Directors, praised Fish's selection. Quote, in my time working with Nick, it's become clear that he is a tireless advocate who is creative, passionate, and committed to creating a broad coalition in the fight to protect the rights of atheists and religious freedom in America, said Carey. He knows the issues our community faces inside and out. I've been especially impressed by his commitment to building a team of activists who share his vision and dedication to the mission of American Atheists. I'm confident Nick will be a great leader of this organization and a champion for our community's values of equality, inclusion, and reason as we move forward. Fish is a native of Michigan and studied political science at Albion College. He worked as a canvass director during the 2008 election in North Carolina, where he built from scratch an office that registered more than 5,500 voters in a month and knocked on 30,000 doors to persuade voters to support candidates in the presidential, Senate, and gubernatorial elections.
Oh. That's a lot of people in 1 month.
Yeah, that's a whole lot of people. And Nick is a great guy. Like I said, I think we mentioned just last week that he was a previous guest on the show here in the studio for the 800-pound gorilla hole episode. But he's a lot of fun. And we had a director's call just yesterday for state and assistant directors of American Atheists to talk to other members at American Atheists, and Nick was on the call, and everybody congratulated him and everything. And one of the things that he'd really like to focus a lot of his work on is building a more inclusive community of atheists. That's one of the things that atheism has had a really hard time doing, is creating a community for people who are disaffected by religion, right? Or who have left their religion behind. Mm-hmm. Most of the time also leaving behind their social circles and sense of community through the religious organization or practice that they previously held or practiced. And so that's one of the big things that he wants to focus on going forward, is creating a much more diverse and inclusive community for atheists. And I wish him all the luck in doing that, and of course I will be helping as much as I can to do so as well.
'Tis a noble goal.
I think so. It's something that we for sure definitely need.
Yeah.
So, the last story of the evening, as far as the regular portion of the show, Have you guys seen this? The op-ed published in the New York Times by a inside senior person in the Trump administration?
Yeah.
I want to read this story and we can chat about it a little bit. The title of the New York Times op-ed is, "I am part of the resistance inside the Trump administration. I work for the president, but like-minded colleagues and I have vowed to thwart parts of his agenda and his worst inclinations." And the Times put a little blurb at the beginning of it that says, "The Times is taking the rare step of publishing an anonymous op-ed essay. We have done so at the request of the author, a senior official in the Trump administration whose identity is known to us and whose job would be jeopardized by its disclosure. We believe publishing this essay anonymously is the only way to deliver an important perspective to our readers. We invite you to submit a question about the essay or our vetting process here," and it has a link for you to do so. The op-ed starts with, "President Trump is facing a test to his presidency unlike any faced by a modern American leader. It's not just that the special counsel looms large or that the country is bitterly divided over Mr. Trump's leadership, or even that his party might well lose the House to an opposition hell-bent on his downfall. The dilemma, which he does not fully grasp," I think he probably doesn't grasp a whole lot of things.
Yeah, tiny hands, you know.
He can grasp a lot of straws.
"is that many of the senior officials in his own administration are working diligently from within to frustrate parts of his agenda and his worst inclinations. I would know. I am one of them. To be clear, ours is not the popular resistance of the left. We want the administration to succeed and think that many of its policies have already made America safer and more prosperous. And to that I say, fuck you."
Yeah.
"But we believe our first duty is to this country, and the president continues to act in a manner that is detrimental to the health of our republic."
Yeah, so these are conservatives who are saying this.
Yeah, it's people who are conservative Republicans working inside the administration who also think that Trump is a dangerous megalomaniacal
megamind
dippy. That is why many Trump appointees have vowed to do what we can to preserve our democratic institutions while thwarting Mr. Trump's more misguided impulses until he is out of office. The root of the problem is the president's amorality. Anyone who works with him knows he is not moored to any discernible first principle that guides his decision-making. Although he was elected as a Republican, the president shows little affinity for ideals long espoused by conservatives, free minds, free markets, and free people. Unless it's something we don't like.
Yeah, those are not, I mean, those are nice things to say.
But they don't really practice the things.
Yeah, and the problem is that they hold to those things saying our party is this and the left is not. We're better, they're not. But they don't do any of those things. They do the opposite of those things.
Yeah.
Anyway.
At best, he has invoked these ideals in scripted settings. At worst, he has attacked them outright. In addition to his mass marketing of the notion that the press is the enemy of the people, President Trump's impulses are generally anti-trade and anti-democratic. Don't get me wrong, there are bright spots that the near-ceaseless negative coverage of the administration fails to capture. And really, if it's near-ceaseless negative coverage of the administration because most of the things that the administration is doing are fucking negatives.
Yeah.
That's why you're getting negative coverage. You don't want negative coverage? Don't do shitty things.
Stop tweeting.
That's part of it. I think the media does look for more dramatic storylines too.
Oh, of course. Because they want to sell papers.
They were really hard on Obama too.
Like yeah.
You know, but
they're handing this to the press on a platter.
Well, there's that, and then also that Republicans are so tough and thick-skinned, right? That the liberals
none
are
of this should bother them anyway.
Nothing's offensive, so why do they care if the media is giving them a hard time?
Yeah, fuck being PC.
It says that there are bright spots that the near-ceaseless negative coverage of the administration fails to capture: effective deregulation, historic tax reform, a more robust military, and more. So let's see. Effective deregulation. So now it's much more easy for corporations and businesses to poison our air and water.
Yep.
Historic tax reform. So billionaires get much, much more rich and everybody below that gets
nothing
to actually pay more. There's been a lot of news circulating that you need to review your W-4 because your tax debt is going to be more for most people. So you should go out and review your W-4 information so that you have the proper amount withheld and don't end up owing a bunch of taxes at the end of the year.
I always claim 0.
A more robust military, as if our military needed to be more robust.
They're already wasting money so that they can keep the money they have coming in.
Yeah. Huge amounts spent on military. But these successes have come despite, not because of, the president's leadership style, which is impetuous, adversarial, petty, and ineffective. From the White House to executive branch departments and agencies, senior officials will privately admit their daily disbelief at the commander-in-chief's comments and actions. Most are working to insulate their operations from his whims. Meetings with him veer off topic and off the rails. He engages in repetitive rants, and his impulsiveness results in half-baked, ill-informed, and occasionally reckless decisions that have to be walked back.
And these fuckfaces voted for him.
Yeah, and still want to keep him in office because he's doing a lot of the things that they want him to do. They just need to, curtail his more impulsive, negative things.
Even though they know he's bad for the country, they still want to keep him in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quote, there is literally no telling whether he might change his mind from one minute to the next, end quote. A top official complained to me recently, exasperated by an Oval Office meeting at which the president flip-flopped on a major policy decision he'd made only a week earlier. The erratic behavior would be more concerning if it weren't for unsung heroes in and around the White House. Some of his aides have been cast as villains by the media, but in private, they have gone to great lengths to keep bad decisions contained to the West Wing, though they are clearly not always successful. So this person views themselves and others acting in this way as unsung heroes for defending and promoting this shitty human being's agenda.
It makes me wonder, though, what are these things? I mean, what if they think that they're stopping him when he wants to put through a more progressive idea?
Well, yeah, that's just it.
And so that's how they're saving the country, by making sure that he stays on the hard right path.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. I mean, we don't know what they're thwarting. We're just taking this person's word that, it's really bad stuff, and we're helping to keep the country more safe because these are really dangerous things. Okay, well, what specifically has he tried to do? How about you give us some specific information, and then maybe we can work toward getting somebody who is completely incompetent and unqualified for the job out of office instead of keeping them in office. Let's say that you get hit by a fucking bus tomorrow, and instead they put in your stead, they put somebody in there who's not going to work to thwart his worst tendencies and impulses. What then? You think you're a fucking hero because you're removing shit from his desk that we don't even know what it is or what the consequences would be? You're making this decision unilaterally by yourself?
Yeah, and in a sense, undermining the democracy of the country.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an undemocratic thing to do. Sure, he's a shitty president who's unqualified and incompetent, and I'm sure does want to do a lot of shitty things that maybe this person has stopped, but we don't know. We have no evidence for any of this. This is just one person who thinks that they're a big fucking hero.
Yeah, the right thing to do is get him out of office.
It may be cold comfort in this chaotic era, but Americans should know that there are adults in the room. We fully recognize what is happening, and we are trying to do what's right even when Donald Trump won't. The result is a two-track presidency.
What would be right is called impeach.
Yeah. Take foreign policy. In public and in private, President Trump shows a preference for autocrats and dictators such as President Vladimir Putin of Russia and North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un, and displays little genuine appreciation for the ties that bind us to allied, like-minded nations.
Yeah. Right.
Astute observers had noted, though, that the rest of the administration is operating on another track, one where countries like Russia are called out for meddling and punished accordingly, and where allies around the world are engaged as peers rather than ridiculed as rivals. On Russia, for instance, the president was reluctant to expel so many of Mr. Putin's spies as punishment for the poisoning of a former Russian spy in Britain. He complained for weeks about senior staff members letting him get boxed into further confrontation with Russia, and he expressed frustration that the United States continued to impose sanctions on the country for its malign behavior. But his national security team knew better. Such actions had to be taken to hold Moscow accountable. This isn't the work of the so-called deep state, it's the work of the steady state. Given the instability many witnessed, there were early whispers within the cabinet of invoking the 25th Amendment, which would start a complex process for removing the president. But no one wanted to precipitate a constitutional crisis. So we will do what we can to steer the administration in the right direction until, one way or another, it's over. How about you work toward making it over?
Yeah. Invoke the 25th Amendment. But then that goes back and forth for a couple of years, and it'll be election time again anyways.
The bigger concern is not what Mr. Trump has done to the presidency, but rather what we as a nation have allowed him to do to us. We have sunk low with him and allowed our discourse to be stripped of civility. Senator John McCain put it best in his farewell letter. All Americans should heed his words and break free of the tribalism trap with the high aim of uniting through our shared values and love of this great nation. Which, at the end of this, I was like, well, you're one to talk. We should break free of the tribalism trap when you're keeping a fucking maniac in office. When you're not doing what you can to get him out of there because you've seen firsthand how fucking dangerous he is. You're doing what you can to maintain his position there to push through the policies that you want.
Yep.
That's fucking disastrous. That's what is scary. That is sure, Donald Trump is fucking scary, but that the will of the president is being thwarted by members of his own fucking cabinet because he's that inept and that incompetent and that dangerous, but they're not working actively to remove him.
No.
They're still working to protect him and defend him from the media asking these hard questions and giving this negative press coverage.
When they have the means to remove him.
Yeah, it's fucking nonsense. And I think the person who wrote this is a coward.
Yep.
Says we may no longer have senators,
and probably treasonous in some way. I mean, I don't know what she is thwarting. What they're we don't know. Maybe they might be good. They might be good policies. They might be leftist policies. We know Trump has a weird streak of certain more Democratic type views than this alt-right all the way.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Continues and says, we may no longer have Senator McCain, but we will always have his example, a lodestar for restoring honor to public life and our national dialogue. Mr. Trump may fear such honorable men, but we should revere them. There is a quiet resistance within the administration of people choosing to put country first, but the real difference will be made by everyday citizens rising above politics, reaching across the aisle and resolving to shed the labels in favor of a single one, Americans. And that all sounds great and is very rah-rah, but it's like, you're not putting country first. If you were, then you would be working your ass off to get a maniac out of office.
You would be reaching across the aisle.
If he is as dangerous as this person says, to where members of his own cabinet and staff are actively working counter to what the president wants,
hiding shit
why
from
the
us.
fuck are they still there, and why are they not working to get him out of office? It's because they're putting party first.
Yeah.
So don't give me this bullshit kumbaya thing that we need to come together. Fucking fix the problems in your own backyard.
Yep.
But that was just it made me angry when I read this. And I started arguing with a few different people online, and I just ran out of time. I'm busy with stuff, but yeah, it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Well, I want to again thank Mr. Mikey Weinstein of the Military Religious Freedom Foundation for coming on as a guest this evening. That was a really cool interview. I really liked talking to him. It'd be great to talk to him for a lot longer. That'll wrap things up for us this evening. Before we go, I want to make sure that we thank our Patreon supporters. That would be Vanessa,
Michelle Short,
Christy Kalbach,
Numania,
Alan Firth,
Larry Wilson,
Two Skeptical Chaps,
Let the Meat Go Fefe,
Stephen Andrus,
The Foz,
Janet Uter,
Jeff Peterson,
Marius Kot Butrakowski,
Utah Outcasts,
Megan Kennedy,
Andrew Vodopich,
Randy Hamrick,
Jeremy Goodson,
Angelica Pearson,
Wesley Aaron,
Sailor Grin.
I know that guy. He's really cool.
Hey.
Savita Kuna.
And the Purple Dragon.
Yay, who just had his 40-something-ish birthday.
I thought he was turned 21.
I made a joke something about it. Oh, so you're 39, is that right, Grant? Oh, yes, of course. That's all. All right, thank you all very much.
Yes.
And so until next week, crucify those dominionists. You know they want to be up on the cross anyway.
Leave a review to get kicked out of the fast and testimony meeting.
And rate the show 5 times a day toward the Pentecostal gun.
Then I sat on my couch half naked with a thing of whiskey in my hand. I fucked it up. Or did you fuck it up?
You fucked it up for sure.
Okay, let's see. Is this working?
Yeah. Yes.
Thank God. Oh my God. No, I mean, Skype changed. I saw something next to your name up there that said fucking Skype. That's so apropos, man.
Yeah, that's how I feel about Skype. I just fucking hate it, man. Anytime I go to use it, they've changed or updated something, or it just doesn't work right. There's some fucking problem with it. Oh, so it's not you don't have a Nest thermostat. It's something.
It's something else.
Because it's still smart enabled.
Yeah, it's smart enabled. Because I put the Nest in there. Mm-hmm. And then they actually, because when the guy came, he goes, do you like the Nest? And I'm like, yeah, I like it. I like it quite a bit. He goes,
did you say it like Christopher Walken?
Yeah,
I like it. It's a good thing.
It does weather.